Okay, so the shirt's done printing. Took off the shirt holder. Take my shirt off. Try not to touch the ink with your hands, but it's usually pretty good.
Watch your fingers when you're putting it on the heat press.
Yes,
Hot.
definitely watch it when you're going back here. You will know. And try not to put the collar too much over the edge. I just try and keep it off the edge if I can. Keep the image on the heat platen. Okay, now you want to use your silicone paper. Okay, as soon as it becomes too, you can see creases already starting to form here. After about 15-20 presses with the same sheet, you'll notice that it starts to crease. When it gets too creasy, that's when you want to get rid of it and get a new paper.
Your papers are back here, Jason. I moved them.
No, I thought I had some old ones, but anyway, we'll just get to it. But just so you know, when it gets too creasy, you'll know because it'll start to crease up on your t-shirts, and it'll be fine, but it just doesn't look as nice aesthetically. So, because I have a large image, this fits perfectly. If you have an oversized image, what I've done is cut out some small strips, and I just put that over top at the bottom so it covers the entire image. Okay, but I don't need that right now. So if it starts to curl up before you have the chance to put the heat press down, just flip it over. Just make sure it covers the entire image, and then press it down. So once again, medium to heavy pressure. This makes it makes it tighter over the shirt, just enough so you can just press it down. Okay. And this is going to cure for 3.5 minutes. Okay. You can see the temperature. I have it at 167 degrees Celsius. Okay, so even when you're pre-treating, you have to make sure that that temperature is at least, it's supposed to be 170, but the heat press generally goes up above that for whatever reason. It regulates itself, to around 170 like that. So 167, cured for 3.5 minutes. On white t-shirts that don't have any white ink, 1 minute is enough. So right now that would be enough for a white t-shirt. Okay, you can even change it to 60 seconds for a white t-shirt. When you're pre-treating a white t-shirt, generally 20 seconds, 20-22 seconds for pre-treating. 20-22 seconds after you pre-treat it with the paper is enough, and then you take the paper off and then you press it down again for another 10-12 seconds. Okay, just about the same as the black, but just slightly longer.
Do you still heat it for about 5 seconds before you put the pre-treatment on?
Yeah, you always try to mat down the fibers, whether it's a dark shirt or a light shirt, just so that the pre-treatment doesn't hit the print head.
Do you use the same parchment paper for the white shirts as you do for the colored shirts? The
same paper. So when you're pre-treating, you always use this to dry the shirt, to dry the pre-treatment a little bit, and you always use this after you print the shirt to cure it. Alright, so you can see this one's creased a lot more. Probably shouldn't use it anymore. And I actually made myself, like, this is parchment paper that I use for only dark shirts, and this is parchment paper that I use only for white shirts. Okay?
But it's the same parchment paper.
It's the same parchment paper, but it's just after you use the parchment paper, after a while, it leaves some fibers behind on it. So, like you can see, this one's been used. Sorry. So you can see all black fibers in it, so you put it on a white t-shirt, sometimes it rubs off on the white t-shirt so it doesn't look as nice. So I just keep a separate paper so that it keeps it, you know, fresh for those shirts. Yeah, what else? It's almost ready, and the buzzer will go off to let you know. Then you lift it. Try not to rip the paper off really fast because it sticks to the ink a little bit, so just lightly peel it back. Okay, sometimes it's a little stickier than others, depends. You just don't tear it off because you might tear a little bit of the ink off. Sometimes you might see some extra white speckles on the shirt that weren't supposed to be there. It didn't happen this time. Sometimes it does, whether it's this paper or I don't know what it may be, but you may notice it, but it's not something that's permanent. You can kind of scrape off with your thumb, as long as you don't. I try to do that before it goes on the press, but even if you catch it afterward, it's not actually ink, so it comes off. But it looks like it's ink, but it's not. It's just fibers from the paper that come off sometimes. So, and you want to make sure that after a while you clean, like when the heat press is off, that you kind of clean the surface, okay, especially if you're going from light to dark shirts and stuff. You know, it's not a huge deal, but you know, just to keep it as clean as you can.
If you notice sweat marks, if you turn the shirt around, sometimes, and there doesn't seem to be any on the shirt this time, but if you notice a sweat mark on the shirt from, you know, well, the heat of behind the ink, you can always just put the shirt back on the press. Without any parchment paper, just to dry it for, you know,
about 30 seconds or so.
30 seconds, and it won't damage the image or anything like that.
No.
So.
And also, if you're printing on the back of a t-shirt, I'll just give you a demonstration of that after. We'll just leave it at that for this video.